Good evening, folks, and welcome to episode 209 of the Sticks and the Six podcast. As always, I'm your host, Andrew Forbes, here with my co-host, Peter Barricchini. And Peter, it's been a couple weeks. Life gets in the way, as we've mentioned in the past. So life got in the way the last couple weeks for us.
Things happen.
Things happen. We had an afternoon session set up. Again, life got in the way. We'll hear about that in just a second. But before we get into all of that, hockey is back. Preseason is back. The Leafs are back. How you feeling?
Feeling pretty good. You know, again, like you mentioned, hockey is back right now with both junior level, NHL. It just seems like the season's in full swing right now. And hopefully in the next few years when preseason is lowered, if the new CBA kicks in, once we get minimal preseason games, this is going to feel a little bit even shorter. We're going to be talking about regular season hockey in September. So that to me is a really great, stepping stone towards that. But even right now, just talking about the whole competition with the Maple Leafs happening right now, we're going to get to the roster breakdown soon with the first few games, who's standing out. This is, again, are we going to follow the same rules that Auston Matthews implemented with about 2 more weeks to talk about Mitch Marner? Or are we just going to just not talk about Mitch from here on out until the game against Vegas?
What's that song from Encanto? We don't talk about Mitch. Maybe that's it. Something like that. Too many Disney movies. Many Disney movies.
That's gonna be the that's gonna be the theme song. We got to play that at the beginning.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's definitely something that we're gonna look at moving forward. We don't want this to be our distraction all season long, but it's gonna be a conversation. Like, let's be serious. He's in Vegas. We're gonna be talking about him all season. There's gonna be news about him in Toronto. I've already come out and said it. I would love to see him get a less than 70 point season and just see how he reacts to that. At the same time, you gotta respect Auston coming out and saying something like that, and just putting a stop to it right now. Look, you got 2 weeks left. Preseason, we can talk about him. Once the puck drops on regular season, the focus is on the Leafs, and the focus is on how can he stay healthy and be a major piece to this team that obviously he's going to have a hole offensively with Mitch Marner now gone. But
to be honest, good on him for setting that deadline. Or I would have done it right now and be like, you know what, guys, this is the last we're going to talk about Mitch. Let's talk about this current team right now. I'm glad he's putting that foot forward as a captain and as the leader, because now it's just going to be a little bit more of a distraction. Everyone's going to talk about that. We already know it's a big hole to fill. Let's talk about the positives of what they have right now. And I love that he did that and gave that hard deadline for, the Mitch comments or Mitch questions.
Well, and you're giving warning too. You're not just right now saying that's it, we're done talking about it. Kind of like Mitch did with his contract negotiations, but he's giving you got this is your heads up. You got 2 weeks. We can talk about it a little bit.
Get it out.
As soon as that 2 weeks is done, I don't want to hear another word about it. And you're gonna get the few of them that are gonna still ask the questions. Obviously, if Mitch goes on to have like a 7-point night, the questions are gonna be asked, right? Like,
did you see that?
It's inevitable, right? Like, it's inevitable that it's gonna be asked. But I think setting the tone early is exactly what he wanted to do, and kudos to him for doing that. We will get into all the Leaf talk in a sec here. I told you I had a little vent session, okay?
Lay it on us, man.
Like I mentioned, we had an afternoon session booked. We were going to do our 1:00 show, jump on, talk Leafs, whatever. Maybe talk a little Jays, trying to get locked down the AL East with 5 games left, right down to the end of it.
For those wondering, we will give live updates if anything happens.
Yeah, that's right. But we had an appointment booked for my son at the doctor's. Okay, so a nice morning appointment, 9:45. Try any parent with 2 kids under 5, try and get them out of the house on time. It's an absolute debacle. Anyways, my doctor's office now. They like you to book online, but they only give you the next month of appointments available, and there was 1 appointment available. So the 1 appointment available was 9:45 this morning. So we didn't want to take I didn't want to take my daughter with me, so I dropped her off at my in-laws, and we headed over to the doctor's office, and I got there at 9:53. Okay, so 9:53. So 9:45 to 9:53. We're what, 8 minutes late?
Yeah.
For the appointment. There's no front desk. You sign yourself in on this tablet.
Check in on the tablet.
Okay?
Yeah.
And if your name's not there, you hit the button to see somebody. So I hit the button. 2 minutes go by. Finally, somebody comes to the window. Hey, I'm here for my son, Oakley. Here's the response I got. Your appointment was at 9:45. It's now 9:58. You missed the entire thing, and it's been canceled.
Jesus, man.
Okay, so forget the tone and the bedside manner. Forget the tone and the bedside manner for a second, right? Like you're in an industry where people are trying to see a doctor, right?
And it's hard to come by one right now.
Yeah, right. So, and forget the fact that it was an appointment for a 5-year-old kid. Okay. So I asked, like, can we rebook? No, you're gonna have to go online and rebook. So I'm here in the moment, trying to see the doctor for my 5-year-old son, and you won't even rebook me for another appointment. So my wife and I went on tonight to try and rebook another appointment. Opened up the calendar for October. No appointments available for October.
My God, man.
Try to go to November. They're not even showing November yet. So can't book an appointment now.
God.
So this is how we started the day. Anyways, we walked away. I was in shock. That's
the kind of response too, and not only that, too, it took them longer for them to probably get there to give that response. So technically, the onus is on them.
But how many times
for delaying that even more?
How many times do you get there on time and you're sitting for 10 minutes waiting to see somebody?
That was just
before
me
you
recently.
even called into the room.
At least 5 minutes late, and I was there around like the time I got there, and they were still late. Yeah.
So free healthcare, folks. That's what we're getting for free healthcare.
Yep.
Anyways, that's besides the point. We're gonna figure out a doctor's appointment for my son. So all of you that are concerned that he's not gonna get in, he's gonna get in. We're gonna find a way. And to the front desk person who decided to use that kind of tone. I mean, you're lucky my son was there, because otherwise I might have had a few more choice words. And people have heard me on this podcast, the choice words that I tend to use. So, yeah, we're lucky that there was still some innocent ears in the room. But, anyways, that's besides the point. We're here tonight. We're back with episode 209. I will say this afternoon I went to try and we test drove a Honda Civic Sport. I'm trading in the old Mazda, the 15-year-old Mazda, and the salesperson at Honda went into my Mazda to get the VIN number and saw my Leaf floor mats, and came back in and said, I guess we're both just as stupid being Leaf fans. And so we got talking. I told him all about the podcast and how you and I started it up, going on 6 years ago. And anyways,
hopefully he's tuning in right now.
So soon as we talked about it, he went. He was all for this idea that he's selling a car to a podcaster. And I told him some of the guests we've had on. I mentioned Mikhail Telquist and anyways, he gave me his phone, had me search him up on YouTube. He now subscribes to the Sticks and the Six podcast, just like all of you should. So if you're watching, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you're watching, shout out to Chris Boyd over at London Honda. Thank you for all the pleasantries today. We really appreciate it.
Let's go.
Enough of my day, buddy. Enough of my day. We got some Leafs talk to get into. The first two preseason games were against the Ottawa Senators. And earlier this offseason, maybe a couple weeks ago, the Senators announced one of their giveaway days, their bobblehead days, with a reminder of an empty net goal that may have caused Morgan Rielly to cross his wires and cross-check Ridley Grigg right in the side of the head. And it basically saying, like, this is a hint at what our bobblehead is gonna be about. So I know you had an opinion. I know I have an opinion. And I'm pretty sure Michael Pezzetta had an opinion as well. So what are your thoughts on this Ridley Grigg bobblehead extravaganza that the Ottawa Senators are going on?
Oh man, how long have the Senators been in the league? About 30 years, right?
Yeah.
Roughly. You're telling me that in the 30 years you don't choose to do a bobblehead about, something that was positive to the team, making the Stanley Cup final. Yeah, I know you lost to Anaheim, but you could have done something about that on that run. You could have done a whole lot of other things. You have 30 years to pick from, and you pick something as petty as hell as that. That is just peak Ottawa Senators right there. I will say that. But lucky for you guys out there, I came up with a list of bobblehead ideas that would just make a Sens fan cry.
I love it.
So I don't know. I'll go through the list, man. I've been hanging onto this list for some time, and man, I would love the Maple Leafs to do a Matthews holding up his 4 pucks with a little bobblehead, because he did it against the Ottawa Senators, Craig Anderson, right? I would love to do a bobblehead on Riley actually hitting Greg, getting the stick up there, showing the actual thing that happened afterwards, because that's what again, if they want to do the actual thing leading up to what happened, Maple Leafs should do that. Stolar's actually getting revenge on Greg, where his wires were crossed when he was in front of the net. The playoff series, Battle of Ontario kicked it back off. Nice owning Shane Pinto in that series as well. And what else do I have? Nylander icing the series against the Sens. So that 1 goal early second period. Stumpy's OT winner in Game 5. You remember that one, I'm pretty sure. The other one was Joe Newendike versus Patrick Lalline. Both of those goals, those softy ones, that was literally the end of that for him right there. And this could coincide with everything. The Travis Green point and the Darcy Tucker just going after the Sens bench, like just taking on 4 or 5 guys at a time at that point. So those are the, list of bobbleheads that I think that the Maple Leafs could have in terms of being petty, just like the Ridley Gregg thing with all the cheap shots and everything like that, but also, things icing the series, game-changing moments.
How sick would it be though? Like a bobblehead of just Darcy Tucker in front of like the boards,
Chris Neal and everything like that,
just lined up. Like that'd be a huge bobblehead, but that would be absolutely sick.
I would line up for that and hang it on the top or put it on the top of my mantle, man. That would be something I would love to have.
We want to get petty. We should get a Sens jersey that says "Never" as the last name, and then the number 1. Never won.
Never
They've
won.
Never won.
Yeah.
In the 30 years. And anyways, if we're getting petty, that's if we're getting petty.
Another petty one. Auston Matthews looking over at Sabrin's jersey to try and see, hey, who are you kind of thing. I think that was like his second or third year in the league, and he's looking over and he's just like, yeah, who are you again? Like, I'm already here. Like
after that wasn't it shortly after that Sabrin came and had a tryout with the Leafs?
Yeah, I know, right? That's what I think. So you know what? It's actually kind of funny. And Auston Matthews coming into the league, check in to see, I've never seen you before. Kind of like the whole Matt Martin thing with the minors.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's so classic. It'd be fantastic. I know we wanted to get somebody on here to talk about their opinion, but obviously didn't work out. But yeah, it's definitely it's a low moment. It's a low moment. Yeah. You just made the playoffs for the first time in how many years? And that's it just shows you though.
That's your first bobblehead?
Yeah, it just shows you like how deep in the heads of Sens brass and people that the Leafs are. Regardless.
Rent-free, baby.
Yeah, whoever wins or
Rent-free.
They're always thinking of the blue and white, and I absolutely love it. I think it just works out so perfectly for us. But anyways, we got to talk about the preseason. Obviously, the first 2 games have kicked off. Leafs and Sens. The Leafs take the one where they're, let's call it the B squad was playing. They take that one against the Sens. And then, of course, the Sens B squad comes back and defeats the Leafs A squad minus a few bodies. We don't overreact to preseason. We don't overreact early in the season. Yeah. What were your few takeaways from these games?
Yeah, again, it is preseason, and obviously, we were like, that first game, everyone was joking, oh, the Marlies beat the Maple Leafs, and now everyone is saying, oh, the Maple Leafs choked even in preseason kind of thing. So, again, the banter's there, whatever, it is preseason. I'm not going to look too much into it. I'm not going to look at all the, should have done this, should have done that. I will say that overtime goal was pretty ugly. Morgan Riley just not even moving, baiting so hard to try and attack, and then it goes to Shane Pinto. Auston Matthews kind of caught flat-footed, whatever. Not going to get mad at that. It is preseason, although that has happened kind of a lot in the past in overtime with Morgan Riley. So a little bit of a concern there. But the positives from the first two games, you have to like what you saw, especially from, kind of like some of those depth players coming up and some of those fighting for those roster spots. We know there's a lot of pressure coming on Calle Yarncroke. He got the ball rolling in game 1, 47 seconds in. That was like a nice little individual effort. And considering that he missed the season, stepped behind, had a hernia surgery, he looked fantastic in that game. I thought that he did a good showing to try and prove to the brass that, hey, I'm a veteran. I can still be a reliable player for you guys. Nick Robertson, again, shortly right after, a peak Nick Robertson shot. Snapshot from the blue line or just inside the zone, gets a pass, 2-0. And even though he didn't find the score sheet in the second game, I still like the energy that he brought. He was consistent. He was aggressive. He didn't get shoved off easily. He was impactful. And that's what I think Craig Berube wants to see in sort of being consistent with everything. Again, you have to like what you saw from the rookies as well, or from the Maple Leafs top prospects. Craig Berube applauded Ben Danford with his simplicity, gave him an opportunity to play in that second game with a lot of those star players and main core defenders. So great opportunity to learn from him, but also Easton Cowan too. I thought he had a good game. Really simplified everything. Same thing in game 2. Had that nice assist on Bobby McMahon's goal. Very deceptive. And we know that that's Cowan's MO, to be very shifty, to be creative whenever he has that open space. Because he got those 2 games back to back, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets the remaining 4. Like, he's going to be inserted in different parts of the lineup. Believe he was on that second line, or I think he was on the top line with Yarncroke. I'm not sure what the lineup was. I'll go back and double check that, but he was on the 4th line with Lorentz and Lawton. And I'm starting to think that they're going to try him out in certain positions up and down the roster to see where the best fit is going to be for him, whether it's going to be first, second, third. I mean, probably not first. You don't want to put that too much pressure on him, but he excelled well in game 1, excelled well in that, kind of grinder kind of mode on the 4th line. I thought that both of those 2 guys have done everything they can to try and prove to them that, we're going to be here sooner than expected. And I think that's a positive step for them. And we've talked about this even with Steven Ellis a couple of weeks ago. We know William Villeneuve is probably going to be a career AHLer, but I thought he looked really fantastic in that first game. He even made a big hit, got on the score sheet, even though he's not known for his point shots. But I really like the consistency that he brings on that back end, the mobility, the breakouts. I think he's very simplistic. I think he's going to take a big step for the Marlies this year. Is he going to make the Leafs? I don't know, but I've said to watch out for him, and I think this is a big moment for him, as well as the goalies too. I mean, Dennis Hildeby looked good. Akiyamov looked good. Again, Akiyamov maybe not so much in that second game, but I do think that, the Maple Leafs depth and goaltending is starting to show right now.
Yeah, no, I know your guy, Owen Conrad, was sent back, but he was a guy that you were looking to see maybe getting the ELC.
Yeah.
But the ELCs go back to this whole idea that we talked about with David Alter and the going into the season with your 23-man roster and saving that money for the deadline, maybe picking up a guy that's in that range of like a $7 to $9 million rental. So that's something that to keep in the back of our heads as we go into the season here. But I mean, Danford didn't look out of place. A compliment to him to get a go in that second game with all the regulars. Of course, with Simone Benoit out of the lineup right now, fighting a day-to-day injury. Another guy that definitely was impressive is Easton Cowan. I know Craig Berube is seeing the same thing, right? He's seeing him go out there, be a workhorse, be physical, be a bit of a rat in some aspects of the game as well. Which
you see that smile on that penalty in the second game.
I love it.
That's a total rat mentality right there.
And that's the stuff he's got to bring. Like he's that mid-sized player that's that needs to kind of play on the edge a little bit to get people off their games. And I love every aspect of his game so far. I think he's really making a push to be in the lineup. The tough part is right now the Leafs are so overloaded on the front line. Like even David Kampf and Calle Yarncroke, and they just haven't found the right spots to maybe move these guys. I will say I loved Michelli. His game I thought was right on point with I want to be that first line guy. Even though we've had the conversation about maybe they don't throw him in there and throw that pressure on him in a new market right away. But I think he's really like livening up to that idea. The other guy that I will say, I'm not worried about Morgan Rielly. I think, the offseason conversation with Craig Berube and Brad Treliving and knowing that he's got to get back to his game, I think he understands that. John Tavares, think about how much that guy left on the table. It's just, it's actually insane. It's actually insane.
I wanted to get your take on Rielly too, because it looked like the mobility, especially on the power play too, he wasn't as stagnant and very passive. He looked like he had a bit more of a step to him. I wanted to get your thoughts on like how you saw him in those situations.
I've been preaching this all season long, and I know he had a bad year last year. Like I think Morgan Rielly would be the first guy to tell you that Morgan Rielly had a bad year last year. And I don't want to bring personal crap into it because I think you leave that outside of the dressing room. But like this guy got married, had a kid, and to become a new dad and to have those pressures at home and to have, your sleep patterns thrown way off. When you're on the road, you're thinking constantly about, your kid back home and your wife and all that kind of stuff. All that plays into the mindset, right? Like you can prep for a game all you want. The idea that you have this extra I'm not going to say pressure, but this extra stuff going on outside, it's a thrill to have that. And it does play a part in how you approach every game and how you approach every day. So I think he's going to be, that's what I mean. Like, I think looking at him now, he does look more mobile. He does look like he's got a little extra step in him. And now comes the excitement. You've seen his kid already at the arena, like running up to him when he's coming off from practice. Like there's that extra excitement now that I think like now he can kind of let a little bit off his shoulders and be like, okay, this is the fun time. This is exciting. This is, my kid gets to watch me play NHL hockey. How fucking unbelievable that's going to be. So
dad mode is activated.
Absolutely. And we saw a touch of that in the playoffs. We saw old Morgan Rielly start to play Morgan Rielly's game in the playoffs. And I think you're going to see that this year. I think you're going to see him as I'm not going to say a top 10 point getter in terms of defensemen, because there's a hell of a lot of great defensemen in the league now. I mean, Lane Hudson, Cale Makar, Adam Fox when he's he had an off year last year. But you're going to see him as a top 20 guy. I truly believe that Morgan Rielly is going to be a top 20 offensive defenseman this year. And I think he's going to get a lot more opportunity with, and this is not a shot at Marner, but Marner's no longer controlling the play on the power play. Now your guy is Morgan Rielly. Yeah. So I think that's something to take into consideration as well. Outside of that, I said Michelli, Nick Robertson. The interesting point about Nick Robertson, and I don't know how you feel about this, but Elliot Friedman came out and said, like, he thinks that Nick Robertson's still open to the idea of maybe having a change. At the same time, the Leafs believe that they have something in Nick Robertson. And I think that's why they fought so hard to have him around the last couple of years, because let's be honest, he's going up from a 1-year deal to a 1-year deal. Like, he could have easily been an asset that you move. But for whatever reason, Brad Treliving's stuck with that, wants to have him in the lineup. And maybe this is a showcase to move him, because at some point you might have to move a forward. Yeah. But I do think that, like, if you have something in him and you truly believe it, Leafs have been very good at letting go of pieces very early on in their career. So maybe this is them trying to steer away from that.
Yeah, I mean, and it's funny too, because they did come out with a piece saying that, both Robertson and Yarncroke were guys on the outside looking in, and they're making their case to stay in the lineup. But we know what happened last
Cowan,
year.
though, and so is Cowan and everybody else, though. Right?
Exactly. the competition is fierce, and there are very few forward line or forward spots right now. So Robertson and Yarncrow can't afford to make a mistake. I think David Kampf is a foregone conclusion right now. I think you move him because you're not moving that center depth right now that you have with Matthews. Tavares is your top 6 or your top 2, and then you have Nicholas Waugh, who has been looking pretty good at practice. Haven't seen any game time of him, but he looked good up the middle. And then you have Scott Lawton. David Kampf is definitely going to be one of those odd man out. But then again, there's also Yarncroke and Robertson. And as I mentioned, we all know what happened last year with Nick Robertson. Hot preseason, looked great. We thought that this was going to be his year where he was going to hold on to a roster spot. First few games looked good, but then the inconsistencies, the poor back checks, poor decisions, the benchings, it literally put him in Craig Berube's doghouse. He got some healthy scratches in and out of the lineup again. If he finds consistency this time, great. But at the same time, like you mentioned, is this a tryout to try and improve his stock on the trade market and get a little bit more of a return back, seeing what he can do, how he scored twice in a scrimmage. He scored off that great shot. He showed more compete in that second game. What's going to happen with him? In theory, yeah, you want to keep him in the fold because you know what you're going to get with him. And then again, you're already missing 100 points with Marner. You're losing 15 goals in the depth with Nick Robertson. Are you banking on possibly still getting that with Dakota Joshua and bouncing back? Nicholas Waugh as well. Do you think Easton Cowan is going to be better than Nick Robertson? Can he at least pot 10 goals this year as a rookie? Who knows? There are a lot of questions right now. And this is an interesting situation with Robertson because, yeah, he can easily stay or he can easily go. And if I'm the Maple Leafs, it's either you extend him to maybe beyond 1 year after this, maybe you go 2-3, still, not going past or maybe just averaging around 2 million, maybe 2.1. Cap is going up. You could afford to give him a little bit more. But again, it's going to be that price for just him to be a bottom 6 and not move further up into the lineup. That's the concerning thing. Is he going to want to be a top 6 elsewhere or a bottom 6 with the Maple Leafs? That's all going to fall on Nick Robertson's shoulders and decisions if he goes to them and be like, yeah, I still want to be moved kind of thing. So it's interesting to see because it's the same pattern that he's following last year. He's going to get every opportunity to succeed, but is the consistency going to be there to stay this time around?
Well, and you've got more players chasing that spot now too, right? Like last year he was one of 3 maybe to fight for that spot. Now he's one of maybe 6, right? Like that's I mean, even Jacob Quillen's doing himself a favor and he's looked all right. Like he's a guy that could at some point, if he starts off hot with the Marlies, maybe come up and be a piece as well. Obviously,
and same with Luke Hames too.
Luke Hames is another guy, and you saw him play with like some of the big guys last night as well. So, yeah, it's who knows, right? Like we can say what we think about Nick Robertson. We've said the last 3 seasons, and none of us are. I mean, I will say that my predictions last season, I had him at 20 to 25 goals, given that he sees an increase in ice time. Had he seen that increase of ice time, he might have got there, but he was in and out of the lineup way too much. He, wasn't getting the ice time and just, things didn't play out in his favor. But, anyways, before we jump into Auston Matthews and how he looks this season, because so far so good, just a quick word from the folks over at DraftKings Sportsbook. Your season, your shot. The NFL season is rolling, and every touchdown can bring you closer to a payout with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. From first touchdown score to anytime TD props or the thrill of live in-game betting, every snap is loaded with opportunities. Of course, as I mentioned before, you can place some future bets. I know I have Lamar Jackson for 10 rushing TDs this season. So hopefully he gets his butt in gear. But anyways, new customers, this one is for you. Bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Plus score over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. That's code THPN to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you place your first $5 bet. Plus, Over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV in partnership with DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Fees may apply in Illinois, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. NFL Sunday Ticket offer for new subscribers only and auto renews until canceled. Digital games and commercial use excluded. Restrictions apply. Additional NFL Sunday Ticket terms at youtube.com/go/NFL Sunday Ticket/terms. Limited time offer. Anyways, I was worried there. I thought I closed my window. I was freaking out. Don't need any more technical difficulties this season. We're only three episodes.
Yeah,
no. Anyways, Auston Matthews. He was the conversation last season. Didn't seem right from the get-go. Like everyone can make their own determination on where he was at and how he looked, and we all know he wasn't 100%. You take away Marner this season. He's already put a limit, as we said in the opening. He's already put a limit on how long he's willing to talk about Mitch Marner. But so far, so good. Auston Matthews looks to be as 100% as he's going to be. Your thoughts on what we've seen so far?
Yeah, and it is only one game, but you have to feel great about what you saw from Auston Matthews last game. You saw him being that puck-driving middle pivot. You saw him be more involved. He's not relying on, like you mentioned, he's not relying on Marner anymore. He's taking control. He's driving the play a little bit more, and he's driving up the middle of the ice, and he's using his, his wings more to his advantage now with the speed of Michelli. Now he's driving hard to the net. He's doing everything right now. And obviously you saw him that little cheeky goal that we saw. It was typical Auston Matthews like goal when he's in tight, right? It wasn't those. He had a few looks with the one-timers, with those wrist shots far out. Obviously, if it was a couple inches here and there, it probably would have gone in and we would have saw a multi-goal game from him. But that goal in tight was absolutely fantastic. Have to feel good about that give and go with OEL. Again, there were so many instances, and even on the breakaway too, it looks like he's gotten a little bit quicker with his breakaway speed, where that's going to play a little bit factor, whether it's going to be at 5-on-5, penalty kill, what have you. He's going to take advantage and have defenders on their heels because he's got a little bit more of that speed burst right now. So I think that, that this is a good sign from him. We need to see a little bit more than just one game, but then again, you're not going to play your stars you're not going to play them as much because you want to get more looks of other players because you know what you're going to get with Auston Matthews. But if we saw that kind of Auston Matthews against the Ottawa Senators consistently throughout the preseason to start the regular season, this is a guy, again, that's going to knock on 50 goals easily. There is no doubt because he is one of the best pure goal scorers in this game. I mean, overall right now, you got to put him as, him, Draisaitl, Tage Thompson as one of those heavy, hard goal-scoring shooters right now. Those are the kind of guys that are going to be leading the charge. And Matthews is going to be consistently putting up those kind of numbers from here on out. And if he is healthy, that's a big plus. If he's not, again, 30 goals is great, but he's going to be hindered in doing other things as well. So the fact that he said he was healthy, even during that Hockey Night in Brampton initiative, the fact that he's coming into camp, he looks great during all the clips of the practices and even that game against the Senators. If we see more of a sample that, the injury, whatever was affecting him last preseason is behind him, again, that's a warning sign to the league that, AM34 is back. Beware.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the key for Auston Matthews is going to be how well he develops the players around him, right? Now you're not with Mitch Marner. You're with Matthew Nyes and, let's say, Max Domi or Matthias Michelli. Regardless, you've got the onus on you now as the captain, as the leader, as the veteran to kind of open the door to see how you can make these guys better. Overall, I mean, go back to 2016-17 when he debuted. 40 goals, 34, 37, 47, 41, 60, 40, 69, 33. I know we don't like talking about it, but at this point in his career, he has more goals than Ovechkin had in the same amount of games. I mean, given the short seasons, given all that kind of stuff. So this guy is a pure goal scorer. He's never going to be your assist leader on the team, and that's okay. That's not what you want. That's not what he's out there to do. He's a big body. He can move around so silky smooth, and he finds the openings. We saw that with his preseason goal the other night. The way that they were able to find him through the seam, and that, like you said, that little sneaky release along the ice. Easy. He makes it look so easy. He makes the goal scoring look so easy. And that's what the Leafs need from him this season is goal scoring. They need that leadership. He wears the C for a reason. I know the conversation around a lot of people, especially after, the Four Nations, is like, man, Matthews has never really won anything. Well, this is your opportunity because you are right now in your prime. You are 10 seasons into your NHL career. You are a 40, a 50, a 60 goal scorer. You could have been a 70 goal scorer. Hell, like we were that close. And now the onus is on you and what you can bring to that dressing room, what you can bring with the help of guys and lean on those guys. Oliver Ekman-Larsson was a captain, right? John Tavares was a captain. Bring those guys in, allow them to be part of that atmosphere, that room, and maybe we can see that next level and see him get back to that. And knowing that, he is at 100%, that's going to be the key to the success of the Maple Leafs this season. Where Auston Matthews goes, the Leafs will go, because where they had a winning record without him in the lineup before, there's no Mitch Marner anymore. So that's going to change as much as anything else. They need to find a way to keep him healthy. They need to find a way to protect him. They need to find a way to make sure that he's on the ice in big moments, in key moments, so that he can put the puck in the net.
401 goals since he entered. That leads the whole entire league. That's more than Leon Draisaitl, more than Ovechkin, more than David Pastrnak. So, yeah, he when he's on it, he's definitely on it. And it's funny, you brought up the fact that, he hasn't won anything. And yeah, that you really think that would probably light a little bit more of a fire in him, because it took a while for Ovechkin to win the Stanley Cup. Like, I don't know, it took like double-digit years for Ovechkin to get his championship. It took McKinnon nearly, I think, 8-9 years till Colorado finally actually won the Stanley Cup just recently, about 2-3 years ago. So, 3-4 years ago. So, he's not the only one to be in this position. And let's not forget, McDavid is the best player in the world, and he still doesn't have a cup. He had 2 opportunities, and he fell short twice. So, it happens to the best of them, too.
I was going to say, too, and you look back at Ovechkin, I mean, he went through years with Nick Backstrom and Alex Semin as the key guys. And Semin was
the label of him being a coach killer kind of thing.
I literally wrote an article for the Hockey Writers that called him a coach killer when Dale Hunter got fired, or Dale Hunter decided to leave. I called him a coach killer. I got tuned by like every Caps fan. It was insane. It was probably the biggest response I'd had to that point for any article I ever wrote. And I stood by it because I didn't understand the level in which he brought, energy to that room. And now you look back and you look at the championship and you look at, the players that have played with him and the attitude that he brings to the rink and the attitude that he brings and the pride that he brings to playing for his team. And I mean, you gotta, I'll eat my words. I was an idiot. I was an absolute idiot for calling him a coach killer. I just think, it was just not his time. It was not his time, and they found a way to finally get it done.
And he was 32 at that time. So he was longer than just 10 years into that league. So
yeah. So anyways, going back to Matthews, and we talked about how he's got to make some of these players better around him. We touched a little bit on Michelli and being on that top line and his first preseason action with the Maple Leafs. We know he's going to be a key factor to how this team runs. That was a big signing for them this offseason. What are you seeing from Matias Michelli so far?
see a little bit more energy, see a little bit more pace than we saw with Mitch Marner, because we know how Marner likes to be a little bit passive and bait players in to open things up. Michelli is always go, go, go. He has that speed. And, we could relate to when we had, PD on the show to talk about Matthias Michelli. When he is a driving force, he is a lethal threat on the ice. And, if you wanted to make a big statement on that top line, one assist at even strength, but then you also had one assist and all by both secondary on that power play that, ultimately led to Cowan, to McMahon, and, it was a 2-0 game for the Leafs at that point. But having a 2-assist game in your Maple Leafs debut alongside on the top line, that's definitely a good impression to start with. And I know that, it was going to come down to him and Max Domi. Max Domi was missing during the start of camp. Obviously, that opened the door a little bit more for Michelli, but you have to be impressed right now. And there's even a couple of plays, too, where it didn't lead to a goal, but it led to a dangerous quality chance. I think there was one play where I think it was like a backhand pass or like right in front of the net, and they just missed Matthews or Nyes just by inches. And the way that he sees the ice, and we talk about how he's able to get these like seams or open these seams up and connect to every single player that he makes a pass with. It's absolutely impressive. And we almost saw that there. So he could have easily had a couple more helpers to go along with, that speed, that energy that he brings on the top line. Again, that line has a good identity. You're going to have that finisher in Auston Matthews. You're going to have Nice doing the legwork. But that playmaker, Michelli, that can really, open things up, but have his feet moving and open things up himself so that someone else could get open. That's a really big benefit right there. I really liked what I saw. Again, it's one game. You don't want to draw too much of a conclusion, but it is a really good impression to start with.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think he's only going to grow. He's only going to get more comfortable. He's going to find a way to build chemistry with these guys. As you mentioned, Domi obviously missing from camp early on is
Yes.
he's dealing with an injury, and then obviously his grandfather passed away. So our condolences to the Domi family.
Yeah.
But it did open a door for Matthias Michelli to get an opportunity and see what he can do, and that's the beauty about preseason. It will be shorter over the next bunch of seasons, the next CBA coming in, but to get that opportunity for a new guy like Michelli to go out there and get a chance to play with some of these guys that he's going to be playing with all year long, you get to kind of see where he fits in and how he meshes. And so far, so good. The little bouncing backhand pass, that was something that I love to see, and getting a little fancy and but not overly fancy where you're losing track of what you're supposed to be doing. And not holding on to the puck longer than you should have. And I think that's going to be a major difference for the Maple Leafs this season, is to see somebody like that that has the playmaking skills.
But it's quicker about it.
Obviously not to the level of a Mitch Marner, but has the playmaking skills, but is quicker to get those things off and find a way to get, the plays and might find the seams a little bit quicker for players like Matthew Nyes, who's going to be sitting right in front of the net. He's going to be parking that big ass right in front of the net. And obviously, Matthews in his office as well. So it'll be interesting to watch and see how that develops and whether it does go to Max Domi. I know there's been conversation there. I think either way, it's going to be fun to watch because Max adds a different flavor as well. He's fast, he's quick, he does have a shot, he does have hands, and he's not afraid to muck it up either. So you can imagine Matthew Nyes and Max Domi on a line with Auston Matthews. There's going to be a little bit of protection there, which will be fun to watch as well. Lastly, we got to talk about the goaltending situation. I know you mentioned Dennis Hildeby, his good game. Artur Akhtiamov. I'm a big fan of Artur Akhtiamov. I think he's got a lot of potential. And last year I was on the Hildeby's train. I think the fact now that the Leafs have so much depth in goaltending, they have so much homegrown goaltending, is so good to see. Even Vyacheslav Peksa as well, a guy that's been coming up through the organization. To see them kind of grow these guys within the organization, develop them within the organization, and now they're going to get an opportunity to see where they're at. And obviously we don't know what's going on with Joseph Woll. It came out today that he's gonna be. There's no timeline for his return. He's going to return to the team. There's no timeline for his return. That's all we know. We know it's a family matter. We don't know. We're not going to get into it. We're not going to speculate because that's not fair to the Woll family.
No, not at all.
But we hope that all is well. We hope that, obviously he's going to see the support from the organization. And in doing that, when he comes back, he's obviously going to be welcomed with open arms. And up to that point, Anthony Stolarz gets an opportunity to earn this contract that hopefully will get done before opening night. But he gets an opportunity to be a starter, right? And that's been the conversation for a while. Is the reason we talked about with David Alter. The reason why there's not a contract yet is because it's hard to invest that kind of money in a guy who hasn't been able to start and stay healthy, and now gets a chance to be a starter. So we'll see how that goes. Dennis Hill to be the likely backup until Joseph Woll comes back. And size is big in goaltending now. You got two big boys in net with Stolarz and Hildeby, and then to know that you have a guy like Akhtiamov who's gonna platoon that net for the Marlies this season is gonna be fun to watch the growth there as well.
No, absolutely. And the one thing that he took away from Dennis Hildeby this time around was, even in that game against the Senators before he got taken out, the poise and the calmness that he had. There were a couple times with the Marlies, even last year, the year before that, when he had decent numbers, he was a little bit too over aggressive. He had good mobility, but there were times where he overshot it, was a little too aggressive, came out a little bit panicked at times. There wasn't any of that in that game. And again, it was like, it was half and half where they split things up, but I really liked how he managed and composed himself in the crease. There were a couple of instances, especially on one PK, where there were like 2-3, back-to-back like chances on the penalty kill, and he was there being the last line of defense when the Maple Leafs defense was scrambling. So obviously you mentioned that size is going to be huge with him and Stolarz right now. If Hildeby has a little bit more confidence right now, yes, he's going to be another young goaltender, a little bit inexperienced compared to Stolarz, but he's got to feel good about where his game is at right now, how he didn't allow anything in against the Senators. What's going to happen in the next few games too will be decided on how we approach things. But yeah, I think Hildeby is definitely going to be the backup in Woll's absence. Stolarz is definitely going to get a majority of the starts, but if you need to go to Hildeby, I think you're going to have a lot of confidence in him right now, as opposed to maybe the previous few seasons, because he's a little bit more calm in net. And I think that's going to pay off dividends for the Maple Leafs crease this time around.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I said, I'm excited to see the growth of these young guys in net. We finally have some homegrown talent, some depth that has been long awaited for in the Leafs organization. Last couple things before we close it out. I do want a big shout out to the Giacomin family. Ed Giacomin passed away. Former NHL goaltender as well, Hall of Famer, passed away at the age of 86 earlier this month, as well as Bernie Perron just passed away as well, which is crazy to think about, and what he did for the game in Philadelphia is, nobody can write enough about it. So to their families, to their teammates, to their friends, we obviously send our regards and send our best. The reason we're so hyped about Auston Matthews' goal totals this season is, as we did last season, we donated last season based on every goal scored by the Leafs in preseason, regular season, and postseason. We donated to the Goudreau Brothers Foundation, obviously something we talked about earlier last year. We've been asking for ideas for this year, and then you came up with one yourself, which I think is a great cause. It's one that affects not only you and I, but everybody. Yeah, everybody has dealt with somebody who has cancer in their life, and I think this is a great opportunity to do so. So this season, the pledge from the Sticks and the Six podcast from Peter and myself, and because we are paid by the Hockey Podcast Network, we're going to bring them into that as well. The Hockey Podcast Network will be helping us to donate to the University Health Network for cancer research. for every goal that Auston Matthews scores this year, we're going to donate $1.50 for every goal. So we want to see him pump the net. We want him to see him smash his goal total. I would love to see him hit the 75 goal mark. I know it's not realistic, but let's push for it anyways. Yeah. And as we did last year, we will present the total at the end of the year, and we will obviously show you that the pledge has been made in the later part of the year as well. So
I was about to say, did we want to include his preseason goal as well? Already kick it off with $1.50.
Absolutely. I think
why not?
We'll go preseason, regular season, and playoffs. Hopefully playoffs.
Yeah.
And hopefully for them in the playoffs. But we're not even going to get into that yet. So if anybody would like to meet our donation or help out or add a little bit to it, please reach out to us privately. You can DM me, you can DM Peter, you can find us on X, you can find us on Facebook, whatever you need. You can write on the comments on the show and reach out to us that way as well. But we'd love to see the support and try and give back any way that we can, even if it's minimal, guys. Even if it's minimal, it makes a difference. So with that, like I said, do what my car dealer did today. Chris Boyd went and subscribed to the YouTube channel for the Sticks and the Six podcast. We want to try and get to 250 before puck drop. It might not happen, but we're slowly climbing here, guys. We're slowly climbing. We want to see the growth this season. We're looking forward to another big season of Sticks and the Six. Before we cut it out, Peter, anything you got for this week?
No, that's basically it. I got some draft rankings coming out because 2026 season's already underway. But I just want to add to what you said about the whole donation thing. Like you said, everyone is affected by cancer. Like, let's be realistic. I had someone pass away from it. I know someone who's battling it right now. So that's the reason why I brought this up to you, and you instantly, jumped on it right away as well. So the fact that this is going to be the season 2 donation with Auston Matthews goal total being a part of it, we're expecting a big year. So yeah, I'm just pumped for this year, and I'm just going to throw it out there. This is basically an early start to our version of Hockey Fights Cancer early on. I know teams usually do that at specific points during the year, but we're getting a head start on that. So this is basically 6 and the 6 hockey version of Hockey Fights Cancer. That donation is going to play a big part.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, as always, we appreciate you guys joining us this week for episode 209 of the Sticks and the Six podcast. We got lots more coming this season. Season 6 is going to be a great season for us. We got some guests that are going to jump on with us throughout the year. We're looking forward to that. We're looking forward to pumping out new guests. We're looking forward to talking hockey with you. We're going to get this guy back on the show soon too, Alex, to jump on. It's a little preseason Leaf talk. We got predictions coming up in the next couple weeks. We got tons. But until then, folks, make sure you tune in to the Sticks and the Six podcast. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Tell your friends. We're not going anywhere. Until next time, I should say, here's Alex Hobson with his hit 25.